A major contribution of miracles is their strength in releasing a person from his misplaced sense of isolation, deprivation, and lack. They are affirmations of sonship, which is a state of completion and abundance. The emphasis on changing your mind needs further clarification. Footnote: the revelation's proper content was that those who change their minds, not name, about destruction or hate, do not need to die. Whatever is true and real is eternal and cannot change or be changed. The spirit is therefore unalterable because it is already perfect. But the mind can elect the level it chooses to serve. The only limit which is put on its choice is that it cannot serve two masters. Footnote: Matthew 6:24, Revised Standard Version. No one can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. While the ballot itself is a secret one, the right to vote is fully protected. Voting always entails both election and rejection. If two candidates are voted for the same position, the machine cancels the ballot automatically. This is necessary because a split vote does not represent any real allegiance. Free will is the attribute of the mind, not the spirit. Sorry, let me read that. Free will is the attribute of the mind, not the spirit. The spirit always remains changeless because it never leaves the sight of God. The creation of the spirit is already fully accomplished. The mind, if it votes to do so, becomes a medium by which the spirit can create along the lines of its own creation. If it does not elect freely to do so, it retains the creative ability, but places itself under tyrannous rather than authoritative control. As a result, what it makes is imprisonment, because such are the dictates of tyrants. To change your mind means to place it at the disposal of true authority. The miracle is thus a sign that the mind has elected to be guided by Christ in his service. The abundance of Christ is the natural result of choosing to follow him. Love that. The following is in relation to the question of sex. You are involved in unconscious distortions, which are producing a dense cover over miracle impulses, making it hard for them to reach consciousness. Sex and miracles are both ways of relating. The nature of an impersonal relationship is limited or defined by what you want it to do, which is why you want to do it in the first place. Relating is a way of achieving an outcome. Indiscriminate sexual impulses result in body image misperceptions. Footnote: this is another reference to body image distortions, which is when a person's view of his or her body is significantly different from reality. This is an expression of an indiscriminate attempt to reach communion through the body. This involves not only improper self-identification, but also disrespect for the individuality of others. Self-control is not the whole answer to this problem, though I am by no means discouraging its use. It must be understood, however, that the underlying mechanism must be uprooted, a word you should understand well enough by now not to regard it as frightening. Footnote: it is more of a reaction formation against a pull which you recognize that is so intense that you are afraid. You think you'll be uprooted. The atonement undoes all errors in this respect and thus uproots the real source of fear. Oops, I lost the footnote. The real source of fear. If you will check back at the reference to uprooting, you will understand it better in this context. Uprooting can appear fearful because it seems as if we ourselves will be uprooted by the pull of God. Yet it should not be fearful, because what is really uprooted are all the false beliefs that do not sustain us and merely cause fear. All shallow roots have to be uprooted because they are not deep enough to sustain you. The illusion that shallow roots can be deepened and thus made to hold is one of the corollaries on which the reversal of the golden rule, referred to twice before, is balanced. Footnote: Projection still has this hurling connotation because it involves hurling something that you do not want and regard as dangerous and frightening to someone else. It's the opposite of the golden rule. Consider the golden rule again. You are asked to behave towards others as you would have them behave towards you. This means that your perception of both must be accurate. As the false underpinnings are uprooted or given up, equilibrium is experienced as unstable. But the fact is that nothing is less stable than an orientation which is upside down. Anything that holds it that way is hardly conducive to greater stability. The whole danger of defenses lies in their propensity to hold misperceptions rigidly in place. This is why rigidity is regarded as stability for those who are off the mark. A rigid orientation can be extremely reliable, even if it is upside down. In fact, the more consistently upside down it is, the more reliable it is. One of the more horrible examples of inverted or upside down thinking, and history is full of horrible examples of this, was the Nazis' final solution. I shed many tears over this, but it is by no means the only time I said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Luke 23:34, King James Version. These, of course, are the words that Jesus, a Jew, reportedly uttered during his own execution at the hands of a tyrannical state. All actions which stem from reverse thinking are literally the behavioral expressions of those who know not what they do. Actually, Jean Dixon was right in her emphasis on feet on the ground and fingertips in heaven. Jean Dixon was one of the best known astrologers of the 20th century. The line that Jesus quotes here is apparently one that Dixon liked to repeat, as she said it 3 years later, on June 23rd, 1968, in the issue of the News Journal from Mansfield, Ohio. God wants our lives to be balanced, and mine is, she said. I have my feet on the ground and my fingertips in heaven. Although she was too literal for some, many people knew exactly what she meant. Her statement was the right miracle for them. I submit that if a mind is in valid relationship with God, it can't be upside down. Many have lost sight of the end and are concentrating on the means. Remember the story about the artist who kept devoting himself to inventing better and better ways of sharpening pencils. He never created anything, but he had the sharpest pencil in town. The sexual language here is intentional. Sex is often utilized on behalf of very similar errors: hostility, triumph, vengeance, debasement, and all sorts of lacks of expression of love that are very often clearly seen in the accompanying fantasies. But it is a profound error to imagine that because these fantasies are so frequent or occur so reliably, this implies validity. You can be wholly reliable and entirely wrong. Intellect may be a displacement upwards, but sex can be a displacement outwards. Footnote. Displacement is a Freudian defense mechanism whereby the mind is unconsciously redirecting the energy from an object seen as dangerous or unacceptable to a substitute object. In this case, a real sense of closeness with others being displaced in the mind, where it belongs to bodies, especially certain parts. How can you come close to others through the parts of which are really invisible? The word invisible means cannot be seen or perceived. What cannot be perceived is hardly the right means for improving perception. It's very funny. I like his dry humor in this. The body is in truth invisible because it is not real. As the Course will say later, everything you made, which includes a body, has never been and is invisible because the Holy Spirit does not see it. The confusion of miracle impulses with sexual impulses is a major source of perceptual distortion because it induces rather than straightens out the basic level confusion, which underlies all those who seek happiness with the instruments of the world. Footnote. Confusing the impulse to joy in minds, miracle impulse, with the impulse to joy in bodies, sexual impulses, reinforces the more basic confusion of the level of mind/spirit with the level of body. In this confusion, we see happiness, which is of the mind, as coming from the instrument of the physical world. This is like thinking that water can be found in a barren desert. A desert is a desert is a desert. Seems to be a takeoff of the famous quote from Gertrude Stein, a rose is a rose is a rose. You can do anything you want in it, but you cannot change it from what it is. It still lacks water, which is why it is a desert. The thing to do is to leave the desert. The thing to do with the desert is to leave. Okay, I just got a notification that my battery is down to 5% on my computer. Let me plug it in. Would anyone like to make any comments about this reading? Any questions? Any comments? All right. Okay. Joanne Cooper just sent a message. She said, hi, just waking up after a night of food poisoning, not totally awful, but kept me in the bathroom with a bellyache. Plus walking 6 miles was a bit much. I'm up now. If you guys want to pray for Joanne's belly, I'm sure she would appreciate that. Okay. Let's see what he has to say today. Greetings, beloveds. We thank you for coming to join with us here in communion, here in union. As there is this gathering of souls, as there is this gathering of beings, of beingness, it is similar to the redirection of the mind back towards the one, back towards the sonship, back towards the oneness. For as you make the choices to perpetuate the illusion that has been created, there is a sense of fracturing and of individuation that occurs that allows each of the egos that are under your control to be strengthened, to be reinforced. As you choose to have your will and your mind realigned, what you will find is that there will be a joining of the greater whole. The use of sex as an avenue for connecting is yet again a reinforcement of sense of illusion. Please understand that during my incarnation, I was married and I had children and was trained in the practices of Tantra, as has been spoken. There are ways to use union to elevate and to bring forth a higher sense of connection to the divine. However, it must be in alignment with the aspect of self that is not looking to project a want or a need upon another, a desire for another to complete them, a desire for another to make them whole, a desire for union that would come through the actions of sex. Bodies were created as an aspect of the experience of being in this dualistic realm. You will discover, each of you, beloveds, that there is an illusion to this. But it does not mean that you cannot learn from your dreams. It does not mean that you cannot understand that there is a pathway out. When the sense of pleasure that is brought from the actions of sex are meant to reconnect one, that takes on a whole different meaning than the uses of sex to attempt to fill a hole, a need, or a desire that has been born of the ego. It is intentionality. It is intentionality through which you will find your way back to the kingdom. You will find your way back to a sense of holiness. Holiness within yourself, holiness within looking and gazing and seeing upon another, the light and the image of your own self-reflection. For in allowing yourselves to see the blessed within your own image, you then allow yourself to see the blessed within the images of those with whom you interact. There is a choice that is made for the mind. The shortcut, as we have spoken, is that if you ask us for assistance, we will say, go 3 steps to the left, 2 steps to the right, and then 743 steps forward, and you will be on your path. And you find yourselves meandering at times, going 93 steps to the left, 117 to the right, feeling completely lost, wondering why your life has turned out the way that it has. Once again, we say, ask us for assistance, and we shall put you back on the path. And you have a choice at each moment, beloveds, to choose. A choice to choose to come back to your wholeness, to return from whence you came, when the truth is that you never left. And that is the ultimate cosmic joke, is it not? There is nowhere to go, for there is no journey that has actually occurred. This is the ultimate paradox, the sense of duality that exists for each of you to find your way back to the incredible ocean of love that is awaiting you, for each of you to find your way back to the light that guides you, the light and the love that you yourself are. That is the true journey within, beloveds. The journey within and the journey without. The truth of you is your magnificence, and you have allowed yourselves to be separated from that truth. Close your eyes to the duality. Take a breath of life and let God breathe you. And allow yourselves to come within from the madness, within from the chaos and the turmoil. Beloveds, know that there is indeed a quickening that is occurring. There is a speeding up. It is much like having liquid in a blender, and as you turn the speed up, it becomes more frantic. Allow yourselves to stay grounded. Allow yourselves to spend even more time in meditation. Allow yourselves to stay contemplative. Allow yourselves to listen to the voice within. There is more guidance than ever that is right now. For this illusion is about to come off of its hinges. The door will fly. Truth will be revealed. And your ability to absorb, your ability to experience the truth will be much dependent upon the frequency that you have chosen. Will it sound like static? Will it sound like noise? Will it sound like rock and roll? Will it sound like a symphony? That will depend upon you and the choices that you make now. Stay the course with your lessons. Apply forgiveness to each and every circumstance where you find yourself judging another. There are no others, beloveds. There is only one. Call upon us, call upon any of your guidance. Anything that is being revealed to you is a revelation that will only continue to bring you closer to Source, closer to the truth of yourselves. We thank you for your participation in this illusion, for each of you are being watched. There are many, many eyes that are upon you. And as you continue to take your steps closer to the light, closer to the truth, closer to Source, there are many that are following your lead. Do not underestimate, beloveds, the power of your presence. There are many who recognize that you are connected to each other, that you are connected with us. And they are looking, and they are watching, and they are asking, they are seeking, and you are the very being that brings light to them. All are watching, beloveds, above and below. Bring forth your light and bring forth your love. For the light that you are ignites so many. Please understand the power of prayer, the power of those of you who gather together. Beloved Mary, we have a message for you. He is at peace. He is doing his work. He is walking his path. The event that was created, that most beautiful event, affected so many lives, affected so many souls. We thank you for your journey, beloved. You are dear to us. Each of you are dear to us. Each of you are aspects of us. Each of you are the many tiles of the mirror ball. The journey that each of you are embarking upon now is held in the light of such glory, such reverence. Know that our hearts are with each and every one of you. Each soul makes its transition, and as it does, it is returning to the oneness of the sonship and of the kingdom. Do not underestimate the power of the love that each of you emanate, the power of the goodness that you are bringing forth. Allow yourself to open to your gifts. Allow yourself to sing your languages of light. Do not judge yourselves, and yet notice that in your judgment of others, it is a reflection of some unhealed aspect of your own mind. Allow yourselves to listen to the voice in the stillness that brings you back to your hearts, beloved, that brings you back to the truth of you, for the truth of you has never changed, nor will it ever. Call upon each aspect of guidance that resonates with you. Call upon your own highest self to come, to stand before you, step forward in union with this aspect of your soul, with this aspect of your spirit, with this aspect of yourself, and allow the wisdom of your own beingness to be granted, and step away and shy away and turn away from the egoic mind that judges you and others as anything less than perfection and the divine breath of love that you are. You are God's breath, as are we all. Our blessings upon you always, dear ones. We will speak with you again.